98.7 The Bay.
Good morning, all. Welcome to the show.
Good
It is
morning.
14 minutes after 8 o'clock. I don't know if you know this or not. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and we have Laura Webb on the phone with us this morning, who is the director of the Behavioral Health at Calvert Health Medical Center. Good morning, Laura. How are you?
Good morning, Laura.
Hi, good morning.
Hey, lot to talk about when it comes to mental health. But first, let's get this out of the way. Do people call you WebMD?
Oh.
Do you get that a lot?
How dare you? How dare
That's
you?
the first thing I'd say if I saw her. Okay. Now, seriously, Laura, let's talk about, I mean, who do you see coming in to Calvert Health? I mean, is it the gamut of, race and age and religion? I mean, are you seeing the whole demographics of our community come in to see you that are struggling with mental health?
Yes, we actually do. I think most people would be surprised that, the folks that we see are just like us. They're our neighbors, they're the people we see in our community, and they're our friends. So these are people who, people have an image of what they think folks seeking treatment look like, and everybody looks the same as we do.
Let me ask you this. Somebody is out there struggling, and somebody says anxiety. Okay, I suffer from anxiety. There are so many facets to anxiety. Somebody comes in and they talk to you. You sit them down. What's the first thing you do to figure out what's going on with them?
So asking open-ended questions is really good. It's usually how we help our friends and loved ones and kids as well. You just say, tell me what's going on. And people will naturally open up and start telling their story. They will get to how their functioning is. Are they able to go to school and work? How are they eating? How are they sleeping? And I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Well, I'm just going to follow up with that question. I think the problem folks have is, when does it go from being they're in a funk.
I'm having a blue day.
Yeah, they're a little out of sorts today. Maybe they're a little out of sorts for a little while. To where you need to, okay, look, this is we need to go see somebody here. What's some landmarks, some road signs? Because,
maybe for family and friends.
Look, kids are moody. I mean, sometimes they just got to shake it off and get going with your life. But
right,
sometimes
so a good day
not.
for a teenager can look not good sometimes.
Yeah,
right.
It's full of drama and all kinds of issues. So for anybody, the time to seek help, whether you're a teenager or an adult, is when your usual stuff isn't working. Talking to mom or dad doesn't feel like it's helping anymore. You feel like you can't reach out to friends. You feel overwhelmed. The feeling of just feeling blue goes to not wanting to live anymore, or wondering if you feel like waking up. It's when you have dark hours at night where you're not reaching out. I think a great sign is when people are still reaching out. When it stops is when you worry. It doesn't mean they're better necessarily. It can mean that they've gotten worse. And that's when we, as loved ones and coworkers and people who share our community, we can't close our eyes to that. We have to engage. We have to say, you look different today. Are you okay? And they say,
yeah, I'm fine. Don't worry. When we as parents and as friends in the workplace, we know that there is something wrong. What do we do beyond threatening them, and saying you're going to see somebody? I guess I'm asking, how do we cajole? It's kind of like when I'm taking the dog to the vet. This is a horrible analogy, but I'm like, let's go get ice cream. Let's go for a ride. How do you somebody you love or somebody you care about, and they need help and they are not having it. I don't need anybody. I'm not going to go see anybody. How do you help them find help?
By being honest. There's an honest conversation that transcends regular parenting or friendship, where somebody sits down with you and they say, let me tell you why I'm concerned. You've come to work disheveled, these are private conversations, or you ask somebody who they trust. You look disheveled. You don't eat. You don't talk to anybody anymore. And we are all very worried because we care about you. Is a different strategy. And usually if they have a supervisor or a coworker they feel close to that's helpful, or even a friend that you know of. With kids, it's the same thing. You have an honest conversation. You've been acting differently lately, and now this is time for us to get to it.
We're talking with Laura Webb, who is the director of behavioral health at Calvert Health Medical Center. Laura, if there's somebody out there listening and they're thinking, yeah, maybe I need to do something here, who do they call? Well, is there a number to call? What's the best first step?
What's the first step?
So the first step I would recommend is, if you even have a fleeting thought, no matter your age or your station in life, reach out to someone you trust, anyone, and say, I need help. I'm scared. I'm worried. If you don't feel you have somebody you can call, there are resources. There's the national hotline. You can text or chat 988. There's also a couple of, there's a 1-800 number, 1-800-422-0009 is a resource number here in Maryland. And for teens, there's another number. It's 410-251-2216. I'm sorry, it's 257-2216. But this teen hotline.
And there's people there.
But 988 is the national line. I mean, that's brand new. I say brand new. In the last, I think it is year, you would know better than I. But 988 is a number. It's simple. It's sweet. And there's help at the end of that line.
And also, the easiest thing ever, most of us have smartphones or access to a computer, whether it's at school or somewhere else. Just Google it. You can Google, I need help, or please help me, or suicide help, or crisis help, and you'll find, just start calling the numbers, start reaching out.
Hey, I'm sorry, T. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I imagine, maybe I'm wrong, I would assume you guys are just crazy busy, right?
We are. We're usually always busy, always getting referrals. Here we have inpatient and partial programs for adolescents and adults, and so we do see a lot of people. Acute care is short stay, partial is a little longer, but we also refer people to other places in the community. Local health departments are a great place to start for counseling if you don't know where to start.
Hey, Laura, I got a question for you. I know the pandemic was tough on a lot of people. It was. I mean, they're stuck in their homes. Marriages ended. You realized how crazy your kids were, and you didn't get along well as a family being together 24/7. But, mental health with kids, this went before the pandemic, and we had talked about this a little bit off the air. What are your thoughts on teenagers and social media? Because everybody's talking about mental health and social media and how they can see the decline in kids' mental health since social media. Is it the devil, or is it something that just needs to be controlled better?
It is the devil.
What is your take, Laura?
So, T-Bone, I'm with you. I think it is the devil, and it isn't. So it can be a resource for kids who don't have any other way to reach out or engage. The devil in it is the constant pressure, the bullying, the comparison with...
It's relentless.
Yeah, ideals that you'll never, ever be able to reach, and it never ends. So before the pandemic and after, having healthy family time, making time where kids, a lot of kids, that's all they have to do.
Well, yeah, because these kids, they're the first generation. I don't know where you want to draw age lines, but they're the first generation that hasn't had a safe refuge from, like, everybody has been bullied at school to one degree or another.
But you went home and you were safe.
But you went home and you were safe, and the family was there, and you had your friends in your neighborhood, whatever. There's no safe refuge for these kids. It's a 24-hour-a-day torture chamber.
I agree, and I think the safest refuge is not to take phones, not to, it's kind of the, once you make it the devil, it almost makes it more appealing.
Yeah.
But work on the other side of things. What are we doing as family and friends to offer something else to do? Are we going outside?
Right.
Yeah.
Are we having
Are we
dinner?
doing-
You know, my
That's
family
it.
had dinner every night at the same time. And I know that's harder today. It is. But man, at 5:30, my dad walked through the door. My mom was there. My sister and I were there. And we had dinner together. And it was comforting to know that even if I had a bad day at school or something like that, at least they were there and we were pretty open as a family and we could talk about it. I don't think people do even that simple act anymore.
Well, I think that's one issue that the pandemic certainly did was everybody kept calling every day the new normal, and it looked different every day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
yeah. Yeah.
So now everybody's struggling to make this new identity for their family, their new normal and schedule and routine. It is the single most important thing for everybody in a family at every age is knowing what to expect. When is dinner, or when are we not going to be able to have dinner together?
Schedules.
When is a reasonable bedtime?
Right,
When do-
schedules, yes.
Yes, having schedules, having scheduled respite from everything electronic and making everybody participate. It's not like, you see some kids have to put it away, but mom and dad don't.
Yeah.
And that's people, they go by their example.
Yeah, that's great advice. Great advice. Hey, Laura, we would love to have you on again and talk about mental health. I know that May is Mental Health Awareness Month, so the big push is on, but mental health doesn't go away at the end of the month.
Yeah, it's not
May
gonna be
31st.
It's not going to be
Labor
all
Day,
better.
right.
All better in June.
Memorial Day, everything's over. So we would love to have you on again and talk and maybe have you in studio to take maybe calls from people who maybe need some help. Would you be willing to do that?
I would love to do that, and thank you so much for having me on today. I was really nervous.
Oh, no.
Laura, what can we do to make you feel better?
What can we do,
If you
Laura?
need help with radio, we're here.
I would say give me a hug, but we can't give me a hug on the radio. so
No,
don't have
not
to
now.
wait.
Next time we meet. But we would love to have you on and maybe take calls from people that maybe are struggling and they could do it anonymously. And we'd love to facilitate that. Thank you so much, Laura Webb, Director Behavioral Health at Calvert Medical Center. We appreciate your time, Laura.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
There you go. So there's
Why
help
so
out there.
nervous?
There's help out there.
We don't bite.
I do.
He does.
Depends on the conflict.
He's had all of his shots.
Well, I've
Most
said
of
it,
'em.
said it many times. Depends on the conflict, but I'm a well-known biter. 826.
People are struggling.
They are struggling.
They're struggling.
And so it's a weird moving line. You have to know your kids. But I'll tell you what, she's spot on right about one thing, and that is schedules.
Oh,
You gotta have kids need consistency. They need boundaries
Yeah.
and consistency. Two things that are just not. You don't see a lot of that anymore.
No.
But all kids need that.
Southern Maryland weather.
alrighty. For today, we